Kia ora and welcome to Cinema in Context, where we discuss all things film and the connections between. My name is Jeremy Downing.
I'm Sarah Watt.
I'm William Chen.
And I'm Tarrant.
And each month at Cinema in Context, we discuss two films, one current and one retrospective, with some connection in between. It could be the same director, same actor, or similar theme. However, with the 2018 Oscars looming in the next couple of weeks, we thought we would flip the script and have a discussion about the coming Oscar nominations. It is also worth noting that today, this podcast is going to be the last, for the foreseeable future, of Max Tarrant, one of our founding members of Cinema in Context. Max will be moving on to different shores, and we'll be farewelling you later on in the episode. Hey, any opening comments, Max, you'd like to say?
Oh, it's been a great period sharing this experience with you guys and with the listeners. Can't wait to see you in the future. Maybe there'll be another one before too long.
Hopefully. Excellent. Cool, so we're going to kind of jump around a little bit today, but we thought we'd jump straight into the big one and have a discussion about Best Picture. Who would like to read out the nominees this year?
Oh, since I've always wanted to be the voice on the tube in the London Underground, could I?
Excellent. Go, Sarah. What have we got?
The nominees for Best Picture are Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Wow, fantastic.
And Ferdinand.
No!
Not Ferdinand.
Oh, what I meant to
Listeners.
say, just to say that special shout out to Married to the Movies, which is Sarah's podcast that she does with her husband Doug, for giving us inspiration today and, kind of setting us on the track that we're on today.
On the track to Oscar glory. Here we are. So those are the many Best Picture nominees. I remember back in the olden days when there were only 5, but obviously things have got more complicated. So we've got 9 there, gentlemen.
By the way, I like that there's up to 10 nominees now.
Yeah.
I think it allows for films like, what have we got in there? Get Out and
The Shape of Water.
Yeah, and often there can be animated films or big blockbusters that have been there in the last couple of years, which you don't always see in the Oscar nominations.
I think I have a sense that this year, oh God, I say this every year and sometimes I'm proven horribly wrong and disappointed, but I really feel and hope that this year there will be a nice spreading out of the awards. Mm-hmm. So most of my predictions for this ballot sheet revolve around, well, this won't get it because they'll give it to it in another category and all that sort of thing. And I'm always much happier when it is spread out rather than, God bless Lord of the Rings, but and obviously it didn't win any acting awards, but what did it get? Got 11 Oscars or something like that. It's a bit greedy, really.
So do you guys think that Get Out and Shape of Water does either film have a chance of actually getting the big one?
I don't think so, no.
Being really, really genre heavy and very different from the rest of the list.
Well, what's this whole discussion around the ballot changing? I don't quite understand. So has the way people vote changed? Because I keep reading articles about how they reckon that there's sort of like a much more of a populist sort of vote that's going to happen. That's happened for the last year. Any of you know?
I don't know anything about that.
No. Okay. Well, I've read articles that have talked about how films like Get Out or Dunkirk could actually have a chance because there's some change in the way that the voting happens. Maybe it's electronic voting. There's something like that they feel that'll influence who actually wins. So it's no longer the establishment as such that is making these calls. Everybody who is part of the Academy has much more of an equal say.
I hear you, William. I would be delighted for Get Out to win.
Likewise.
I have a fear that they'll fob Jordan Peele off, certainly not with directing and probably therefore original screenplay instead, and that it'll be one of those, the early Tarantino films where he would win for his screenplays but not for his pictures, and I certainly don't... Was Shape of Water your other?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost think that, not exactly tokenism, but I think that the Academy might have gone, Del Toro's earned it, or it's special, or it's clever, and it's... I wouldn't go as far as unique, personally, but you know what I mean? It's a bit special. We'll give it a nomination, but, But then a lot of people are saying three Billboards will win.
Yeah.
Hey, and
I really hope it doesn't. We already know my thoughts on it, but I just feel that there's a lot of issues politically with that film that I think would be a real shame after Moonlight winning.
Yeah.
To have a film which I think has got some real issues of racism to win, I would be gutted, personally.
And I personally don't want it to win, but I wonder whether the Academy is going to go all a little bit, a bit risque, or something.
I think I wouldn't mind it winning, in that it's not Oscar baity, because usually with these lists you get a whole bunch of November releases in there, or movies like Darkest Hour. And this year
it's all biopics. I feel like.
Oh my gosh, biopics of British people.
Yeah, what's wrong with British people? But no, I hear you.
Including the Queen several times.
Yes.
But yeah, Darkest Hour and I think The Post maybe fit that kind of mold.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
But everything else on the list I would say is pretty different this year. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
It's nice to have Call Me By Your Name
Oh,
in there.
Yeah.
beautiful. And that would be a lot of people's best picture, wouldn't it? Beautiful
I'd
film.
probably like to, in some ways, like to give it to that. Although Dunkirk for me was just such a well-rounded,
Yeah.
fantastic film, filmmaker's film a little bit, but overall just ticked all the boxes and
Yeah.
was tight. I
Yeah.
love how tight it was.
Dunkirk's my pick as well.
That's my pick.
Yeah.
I think
me
it
too.
deserves to win. It has enough of the sort of gravitas to claim that
Hugely.
best picture
Gravitas
title.
is a good
And
word for it.
it's an epic as
Yeah.
well. It has to me that big sort of quality needed to be a best picture in a way that Lady Bird. I mean, bless Greta Gerwig, and we'll come on to what I think will happen with that. That ain't a best picture kind of film.
And similarly, when you're talking about Three Billboards, it's like it really has some beautiful moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have the complete circle that Dunkirk does.
No.
Yeah, to represent the films of the year in terms of Western American cinema. Yeah, I feel much more comfortable with Dunkirk.
Interesting though that Dunkirk isn't an American movie. I mean, it's about a European war. It's also about a European war that happened ever such a long time ago, rather like Darkest Hour, as you say, William, movies about British people. And I mean, and with regard to Darkest Hour, for all Gary Oldman's magnificence, I thought it was a not an average kind of made film, but it wasn't a spectacular film for its own sake. Joe Wright's direction and all that, so...
I have not seen it. Is Joe Wright very flamboyant?
He feels less flamboyant in this than he normally is.
Okay. So it's not like Anna Karenina.
It isn't. No, it isn't quite, and it isn't Atonement for me either. So really, Darkest Hour for me revolves around Gary Oldman, and we'll get onto that in the next category. But, so we're all voting for Dunkirk. Yeah?
Dunkirk,
That's where
Cinema
we
in
think it's
Context,
at.
2018. Let's
And
see
we
if
all
we're
acknowledge
correct.
Missouri might happen, and that we kind of really don't think that it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it deserves some acting awards. Which
Or
we'll get to.
possibly screenplay, because In Bruges won Best Original Screenplay.
Ah, right.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I think
The dialogue is good.
I think original screenplay, when we get on to chatting about that, is going to be hugely contested. For me, that is the most challenging category, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to actor in a leading role. So who would like to take the reading of our leaders? Go, William.
Oh dear. Okay, I would try not to fudge this. So, actor in a leading role. Timothée Chalamet
Yes.
from Call Me By Your Name. Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread. Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out. Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour. And Denzel Washington from Roman J. Israel Esquire.
What a name of a film. I haven't even heard of that movie.
Yeah, it hasn't come out anywhere near remotely here, and we've not seen Denzel in that. And look, I mean, I love Denzel Washington. I'm a bit fed up with them just chucking a nomination at him every time do you know what I mean? Every time he comes out of his trailer,
Yep.
So, no.
He's classic kind of inspirational kind of actor.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's going to get it.
Do you think it's fair to say that Denzel and Daniel are the... I mean, they've done great
Daniel
jobs.
Kaluuya,
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
Because of the backlash around not having very many black or ethnic diverse actors?
it
Or do you
could
think
be.
they deserve those nominations?
Well, having not seen Roman J. Israel Esquire and not knowing it had existed, can't really mention too much of that. But I do think Daniel Kaluuya gives a really strong performance. Did anyone watch Skins back in the day?
No.
Yeah, because he was like a comic relief guy, and then he was on Black Mirror, and then he was on Sicario, and he's just gotten better and better and better with every role. I thought his performance in Get Out was so subtle,
So nuanced,
Fair enough.
right?
really, really nuanced.
And I wonder if that's where he's going to not win, because he's up against I mean, Gary Oldman has obviously been taking out all of the awards, and I don't mean it's mannered in a bad way. He flippin' plays Churchill, and he does it very convincingly. And it is, again, it's a big sort of I am acting as somebody else kind of thing, isn't it? Whereas Daniel Kaluuya, for all intents and purposes, if you didn't know him in anything else, could have been playing a young guy from university going to visit his girlfriend's family. Do you know what I mean? Not as much of a stretch. So I wonder if it was a bit tokenistic.
I feel like, I mean, I agree with you. He was fantastic in Get Out, and it's one of those roles which is kind of can be underestimated how much work is in there.
Yes.
But I mean, I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name, but I've heard nothing but incredible things from Timothée Chalamet.
He was amazing.
Yeah,
and he is just a kid. Like I always call him the kid from Homeland, and I don't know how many people were watching Homeland back in the day. He was a bit part. He was the president's son, and then all of a sudden, boom, he pops up in this film.
And in Lady Bird as well. He's in Lady Bird.
Yes, he is. Now in Lady Bird, his character is very much more of a sort of a teen hipster kind of cool guy that you could imagine Timothée Chalamet being in real life sort of thing. In Call Me By Your Name, he convincingly falls in love with and makes love to with Armie Hammer. And it's an astonishingly assured performance for both a young man with not a huge acting career under his belt just yet, and a really challenging subject matter for someone who is both young and, I mean, it's neither here nor there if he's gay in real life or not, and there's nothing to suggest that he is, but it's just an incredible performance and an incredible film. Well, I don't think he's going to get it. I think Oldman. Yeah, I wonder if I would. I thought Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread was astonishing. My fear for Daniel Day-Lewis is he's always astonishing.
Yeah.
For me, he's a bit like Michelle Williams. I mean, she's never put in a bad performance as far as I'm concerned. You can't deprive someone of an award just because they're getting excellence every time. But he is. Do you know what I mean?
I think back to Daniel Kaluuya. I mean, Get Out was such a fantastic film, and what a cool role as well. Like, I think part of the issue just to kind of talk about the politics again and the backlash of the Oscars last year, the amount of roles offered to non-white actors is so limited and so usually quite boring, or they're usually playing these stereotypes. And so I think that while I don't think he deserves an Oscar in this category, it's really cool to see him on there.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see him acknowledged and nominated.
So I wonder if it will be one of those, it's an honour to have been nominated sort of awards. Do you know what I mean?
And do you think Oldman's is going to be more of a career Oscar, even though it sounds like he deserves it for the work he did? I mean, has he ever won an award before in terms of Oscars?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he won't have won. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis has 2 under his belt, doesn't he? He has a best actor and a supporting actor, I think, whereas Gary Oldman maybe hasn't. But he also does an astonishing performance. I don't know. I mean,
what do people reckon?
Gary Oldman's
who will get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Gary Oldman would get it. It seems to be that's all the buzz. Seems to be the obvious answer.
But I would be very happy if Timothée Chalamet. But I think Chalamet's too early in his career. So this will be one of those. Look, you're all of 23 or something. Nominate you now, and then off you go, and you're going to either soar or you're not. In which case, we'll be glad we didn't give it to you. Do you know? I reckon that's how they probably rationalise
I think
it.
it's like the Jennifer Lawrence in Winter's Bone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You sort of feel like that same sort of momentum with his career is going to explode.
Yeah, right. In which case, he'll take care of that later on.
Yeah. All right, Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water. Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Margot Robbie, I, Tonya. Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird. Meryl Streep, The Post.
I've never heard of her.
Yeah, neither. What's she done?
No, she's probably just come out of nowhere, so yeah.
I wonder how her politics won't be, her involvement in
The
Me
Weinstein
Too
thing.
has been not completely spotless. Well, I mean, it hasn't been bad, but she's been under the spotlight from
Rose McGowan.
the more activist, radical Rose McGowan has put pressure on her.
I think what that's about is about acknowledging that there is a systemic establishment issues where people are aware how the machine works and they sort of happily turn a blind eye.
That's right.
And so I think Rose McGowan, while she doesn't have anything specific against Meryl Streep, she's like, she knew because she's so entrenched in the establishment.
That's right.
So I think that's what it is, which is a really interesting perspective and quite a harsh perspective
I think
For
I wonder.
her
It's
to
a
come out and
totally
say-
harsh perspective.
It is. It is. I wonder if it's partly slightly tougher as well for a slightly older woman, who was part of the older culture,
Yeah.
and more deeply ingrained in it.
Yeah.
Not to let her off, but if you are more deeply ingrained in that culture, the culture that was even more male dominated,
Yeah.
then it's probably a bit harder to speak out, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's such a beacon of success. It's hard. It's a really rough. I mean, Rose McGowan, she's pretty fearless, for better or for worse. But yeah, she's sort of lashing out all over the show. I don't know if you watched any of her interviews, but she's really fascinating to watch. She's very angry,
Yes.
and rightfully so.
To be fair, somehow, I don't know how I'm being fair, but to be fair, Meryl Streep's fine in The Post, but it's not Oscar winning anyway. So I think if she doesn't
There's
win...
only one close-up I just remember very strongly, which was really amazing, of her on the phone, and she had her kind of the tiniest little movements in her face. But
again, she's a bit of a Denzel for me, and she's a bit of a Daniel
she
Day-Lewis.
is, yeah.
She's great all the time.
Yeah.
And this doesn't leap out at me as being a particularly amazing Oscar-worthy performance. So I think if she doesn't win, even if she goes to bed thinking it's that bloody Rose McGowan's fault, I don't think it will be. You know?
Yeah.
I think she's up against stronger... Look,
So
personally...
I thought. There you go. No, I just say I absolutely loved Margot Robbie
Same.
in I, Tonya.
And I
thought
wish that she would win, but I don't think she will.
I don't think she will either. But that role is just she's just a tour de force. That's the three leads in that role. So you're with Sebastian Stan, Allison Janney, and Margot Robbie. Just what a cool film in terms of acting and dynamics and chemistry. And Margot Robbie is another one whose career has exploded over the last few years, and she deserves an Oscar for that role. But yeah, like I said, I don't think she's going to be the one that gets it.
Frances McDormand's got to be the strong front runner.
Yeah, she's
hands
been winning
down.
everything else.
Yeah.
Now, you guys all loved Shape of Water. Well, Jeremy and I didn't so much.
No, I
Oh, no,
didn't.
you didn't.
I
Only
loved Shape
William.
of Water.
All right, William. What about this Sally Hawkins then? Are you going to vote for her or
Oh,
no?
no, of course not.
Oh, no?
She's fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's Oscar worthy.
No.
Again, it's similar to the Daniel Kaluuya situation, where it's very, very like low energy, nuanced performance. Yeah, especially from a character who is mute.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, the other actresses in the list, well, Saoirse Ronan and Lady Bird is also, yeah, they're all very like outspoken, very like largish roles compared to Sally Hawkins.
You're right, they're quite feisty. Those four are feisty characters, aren't they? The three Billboards, I, Tonya, Lady Bird, and The Post are all strong women being outspoken. I hadn't really made the connection of the characters, actually, but that's a good point. Well, actually, so is Sally Hawkins, just because she's not literally outspoken. Very good point. Those are all... But, yeah.
I mean, for all my issues with Three Billboards, absolutely, hands down, acting is not one of them, you know? Like, the acting in that film is phenomenal. And Frances McDormand deserves every award that is thrown at her because she's such a great presence on the screen.
Yeah.
She, you fully bought into everything she was doing on the screen. And
Yeah.
there's such a lovely, not down to earth is not the right way, but this is so real. And she's got this massive character that feels quite real. And
we've talked about how that film really captures character transformations, and hers is the subtlest and the best and most kind of even-handed as it slowly goes along in the film.
Very good point.
And you kind of almost don't... Her acting's so subtle that it almost isn't portrayed through the acting, but just through her actions near
and
the
just
end.
her being.
Yeah.
I agree. I think she is the most accomplished actress of those five. I would say she's more accomplished than Meryl Streep, who is amazing. But okay, Meryl Streep it feels like a much more massive career and has played a broader variety of characters, possibly. But I think Frances McDormand truly talented, and I think also, if she wins, then there'll be points given for the older actress in Hollywood.
But I also think politically as well, in terms of the whole Me Too movement and what this year stands for, she's got such a great kind of like, sticking it to the man attitude.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the BAFTAs, but everybody was wearing black, and she's wearing like floral red, and she goes, I've always had a problem with compliance or something like that.
Well, actually, her dress had lipsticks on it, lips and lipsticks, so it had splashes of red and pink on it.
Right.
But it was ostensibly a dark dress. But yeah, she did, didn't she?
I mean, who could get away with that but Frances McDormand?
Exactly.
I think it's also a role that it shifts, as you guys say, but in a way that's very very character driven and also plays really well off her scene partners. There's that one scene where she is opposite Woody Harrelson, where the scene starts off in one direction and at the very end Sunny swerves into another one, and she is fantastic. I think you guys know which one.
I know exactly what scene you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's just it's a shift in character that's so jarring, but also completely realistic, and she sells every drop of that.
Yeah, that's an incredible scene. Yeah. Okay, should we move on to Best Supporting Actor or Actor in a Supporting Role? Shall I read that one out?
Sure.
So we've got Willem Dafoe, The Florida Project; Woody Harrelson, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri; Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water; Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World; Sam Rockwell, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Well, I thought Richard Jenkins I love him, and I thought he was completely innocuous in Shape of Water. Didn't impress me in the slightest.
I think we've talked about this before. I really enjoyed him.
Me too,
And I love Richard Jenkins. I've loved everything he's done, including his role in The Core, which is a terrible movie, but he's great. But he, well, at least to me, Sarah, he kind of embodied a role which is pretty generic, and gave it a lot of warmth and personality, which wasn't on the page.
Do you think that's Oscar winning?
I'll say this: out of all the performances in Shape of Water, he was the one that stood out for me more so than Octavia Spencer, which definitely felt super generic.
Yeah.
More so than Sally Hawkins, more so than Doug Jones, even though they do fantastic work. I mean, he was the one that said, "Oh wait, I'm actually paying attention to the acting rather than to other things."
I think it's interesting he's been nominated. So obviously the Academy have acknowledged exactly what you've seen.
Oh, and then sorry, Michael Shannon, who was not nominated, but was also very Michael Shannon.
For all of his, effectively it's the same character from Boardwalk Empire. He's such a great actor.
He's a stunning actor.
He's just incredible. I think it's quite interesting that Christopher Plummer was nominated, considering he was brought in last minute and filmed all of his scenes in a short period of time. 11
days or something. And he's terrific in All the Money in the World. He is terrific, but I do wonder how much of it is 2 fingers up to Kevin Spacey.
See, I think just talking about the Best Actress category, I haven't seen All the Money in the World, but from my understanding, Michelle Williams is phenomenal. And they reckon that she should have been nominated. And I, from what I've seen in the trailers and from what I understand, I do think that she deserved a spot on there, particularly over Sally Hawkins. And I haven't seen Lady Bird. I love Saoirse Ronan, but that's interesting that they gave it to him. Yeah, it feels like it would make more sense to me politically to give it to her, but it's still, he's on there.
I still don't think he's going to win it. Personally, I would be thrilled for Willem Dafoe to win for the Florida Project, because he was playing against
he's so good.
Genuine, real people, and he came across as a genuine, real person, and he was so much more sympathetic and lovely, wasn't he, and real, than a lot of the characters. So he was gorgeous, and the Florida Project is such a left field film. It would be a wonderful way for it to become Oscar-winning and to acknowledge that. But then I'm quite fond of Sam Rockwell.
I think he's got it. I think Sam Rockwell. Has he been winning it
for the other? He won the Golden Globe and everything else?
He's cleaning up, from my understanding. And he was fantastic.
Is that partly also because has he won many awards before?
No.
And so he's got a bit of a career that people might be kind of trying to
acknowledge
as well.
He's one of those character actors like Allison Janney, who has been in the industry for a long time. You always see him pop up, and he's always fantastic and quirky.
But under-acknowledged, probably.
Yeah.
And he is great. I mean, we've talked about the subtle shift in Frances McDormand's character, and I still feel that very much of Sam Rockwell's, that I was shocked at how sympathetic he became. I know we've argued about that, and go listen to our previous podcast, guys. But yeah, personally, I think that he did portray acting.
Awesome. Is Sam Rockwell our pick, or are we...
Yeah.
Let's go Sam Rockwell.
All right. Okay. Sarah, would you like to read us Best Actress in a Supporting Role?
Sure. Mary J. Blige for Mudbound. Allison Janney for I, Tonya. Leslie Manville, Phantom Thread. Laurie Metcalf, Lady Bird. Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water.
There's a lot of tough moms in this one.
True.
Interesting how that works out.
Yeah.
I've not seen Mudbound. I don't suppose any of us have. It's not here yet. I've seen all the others. I think Allison Janney will probably take it. But I know some people have objected to how very, very caricatured and over the top that mom in I, Tonya was. I mean, she was hugely enjoyable and shocking, wasn't she? But it wasn't the subtlest of performances, whereas Leslie Manville is the subtlest of performances. But maybe it's not flashy enough. Maybe it's a, look, at least you've been nominated sort of acknowledgement, British actress, face recognisable, name probably not, been in heaps of stuff, solid, yeah.
My pick is Allison Janney. I mean, I haven't seen... I've seen The Shape of Water. I haven't seen the other films, but I, Tonya, like I said, for me was such a highlight from those 3 lead performances, and she deserves it for not just that, but her history of the work she's done.
Anybody beg to differ on Allison Janney?
I mean, Laurie Metcalf I thought was amazing.
Yeah,
she was really, really good. But also, I don't know, there's a lot of connective tissue between her and Allison Janney in those 2 roles. And how they shape their children. I thought that was a really cool comparison. But in terms of like performance, what we were talking about with Gary Oldman, Allison Janney, she takes it.
Yeah.
It is a performance.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And I, just for the record, I thought I like Octavia Spencer enormously, and I thought it was the most ordinary role in The Shape of Water. I thought it was a total stereotype, which she handled admirably, and that it was a total nothing. And I don't know why she got nominated, and I hope that it wasn't just we've got now 2 women of colour in the in the category.
Way,
but
I personally thought she was much better in Snowpiercer.
Yes, much
better.
better.
A similar kind of role as the tough, matrony figure. But,
well, I guess we're all going with Allison then.
Cool.
All right.
All right, William. This feels appropriate that you're going to read out Best Animated Feature Film.
Yes, please. Best Animated Feature Film. The Boss Baby. Sorry. The Breadwinner. Coco, Ferdinand, and Loving Vincent.
Now, I think it's fair to say that we have taken from Ferdinand this time around as our cinema in context artwork. Do you want to speak to that, William, before we jump in?
I just think Best Animated is always really contentious, right? They ignore a lot of stuff. There's always really, really like mundane commercial stuff that's nominated for no good reason, I guess, because it's pretty, and that's the Ferdinand of this year. Have you guys seen Ferdinand?
No.
No.
It is really pretty.
Is it prettier than Coco and prettier than Loving Vincent?
No. And it's I haven't. So out of these, I haven't seen The Breadwinner. I really want to. It looks amazing.
What is The Breadwinner?
The Breadwinner is it's about an Afghani girl who she dresses up as a boy to gain acceptance in society. It's from G Kids. They're the people who did what's called The Book of Cows and the other one with the seals. What's it called?
Good Lord, you watch everything. You're astonishing.
It's an Irish studio.
Right.
And they do excellent computer animated 2D artwork.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. The trailer it draws a lot from from ancient, Middle Eastern art with a lot of gold and gilded stuff, and it looks fantastic.
Is that one of the reasons also that animated features contentious? Because I feel like you get a lot of really creative, independent kind of productions that are doing animation in completely different ways. You can be so creative with animation, and yet there are these behemoths that do it the one way and they kind of stuck with it for the last 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, I would say so. Because Ferdinand, it is pretty, you guys. It reminds me of picture book illustrations, except what they would look like if done in CGI. So really soft shapes, really cool, stretch and squash. Especially the main character being a really bulky bull and how his face moves and all that. It's really well done.
Nice.
Except the story is generic town. There's really generic voice acting. The jokes are real dated and there's pop culture. At one point the characters do the Macarena. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
I call that the Shrek effect because Shrek did it so well, and the joke was that it was fairy tales with all these pop culture references, and then DreamWorks just pumped that formula out for until today. And whenever I see some of those films where they try and bring in that sort of stuff, I just go,
So William, what's your vote then?
I would say Coco. Having not seen The Breadwinner, which by all counts is pretty great. Coco, we all love Coco, right?
Sure.
It was my film of the year last year, so I loved Coco.
Nice.
But funnily enough, I'm still going for Loving Vincent. But I know that you, William, had some very intelligent oppositional ideas to that.
I just felt Loving Vincent was so much of a film that was style over substance. a beautiful, beautiful film that, I mean, you can literally see the hours of work the artists have put on screen. And yet, to me, the acting was, and the casting was all wrong. Like, I felt it was really miscast with some of the roles, even though the actors are pretty great. And the story was just so boring.
So it'll really be interesting to see how much that matters, right? As to whether animated feature film, animated is the key word, or whether...
True, just in terms of form.
Right, because as listeners will know, it is the first feature-length, hand-painted, oil-painted feature film. So... And I think it would be rude of the Academy to ignore it, even for the sake of something as crowd-pleasing and delightful as Coco.
What? But, so, I mean, it's one of those films when people say, like, it's groundbreaking, and it's like, this is the first oil-painted film, but that makes it sound like there's going to be loads afterwards that would do that.
And I don't think...
They're going to do it once, it's amazing.
It took 4 years.
It's impossible to do. It's not like it's opening up a new genre. So
But
But
does
4
it-
years,
it
that's how
doesn't
long...
have to be.
4 years, that's easily how long a Pixar film would take to create.
Yeah. Or the old style-painted Disney films.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think this is going to open the floodgates for a whole lot of hand-painted films at all. But so if this is the only one, look, I likened...
Isn't that unique enough? Is that what
Sure.
you mean?
I mean,
Maybe.
you know, and I likened this to the when The Artist came out. And
I was
everyone
thinking
went-
of that as well.
Everyone went,
Black and
"Oh my god, black and white silent films!" And I thought, "Wow, that was so amazing!" And it won heaps of awards. And I was like, "I wonder if we'll see more of these." But I was like, "I'm not bothered if we don't.
Yeah.
I don't need to see more of that, you know." And indeed, we didn't. There were a couple of other things, but principally everything went back to the way we see most films now. You know.
Sorry, I just remembered the other G Kids movie is Song of the Sea.
Oh, I
which is
remember
a
hearing about that.
Really, really good movie. I think it's their best work.
Nice. Something to watch.
And then the Boss Baby is just weird.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Why has it been nominated?
I don't know. It's not very funny. It's okay. Like, the animation's not particularly great. It's just weird. Like, I don't not like it, but it's weird.
Maybe someone's taking the mickey.
Maybe it's one of those things where I remember you were talking about in your podcast here, Doug, about how there's representation from the different studios here, which I was never aware of that. How they would try and represent different studios in the categories.
Like, back in the day, do you guys remember when Pixar boycotted the Annie Awards because DreamWorks would buy all the votes?
No.
And so that's how to Train Your Dragon won over Toy Story 3. It's like, come on, you guys, come on.
Wow, I didn't know that. So are we splitting our vote between Coco and Loving Vincent? Is that the feeling?
Yeah. Who thinks Coco's going to win?
Can I add one more thing?
Go,
which is, sorry, guys. I have so much to talk about with animated movies, but I think the fact that The Boss Baby and Ferdinand were nominated over Lego Batman movie is just really weird as well. Considering in 2015-16, the Lego movie got knocked out when I thought it was one of the strongest movies of that year. Did they just feel it was too commercial and it was like a glorified ad for toys?
I think they probably don't. No, actually, sorry. I was going to say that they might not include it for a question of substance. But then again,
But then the Boss Baby's on here.
But the Lego movie.
It's that classic thing of like a film that can have substance, but it doesn't really obviously show it off. I feel like.
But
the Lego film, you can delve into it and you can get into it, but it doesn't shout substance at you when you say the Lego movie. Everyone assumes it's kind of like something that's not going to be that deep, and maybe it just has that kind of superficial judgment.
Maybe, or it could be a technical thing because the Lego movie wasn't wholly animated.
Oh, although that was like what, 3 minutes of live action footage.
Yeah, but sometimes those technicalities
That's
make
true.
all the difference.
I think what happened is Lego Movie was groundbreaking-ish, and everyone went wow, and it didn't win, and its moment has passed. And for me, and I know you loved it, but for me, Lego Batman movie was totally an average follow-up, and therefore it doesn't deserve to be on this list, even if it's an acknowledgement of, oh, sorry, we should have given you some sort of award last time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that
its
makes
moment
sense.
passed.
Did the Lego movie get nominated?
It didn't.
No, that's what I mean. So I reckon that I think it's a technical thing. Okay, so splitting the vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Max? Coco or Loving Vincent?
I've seen neither.
Okay, so we'll split the vote 50-50.
Cinematography. In the category of cinematography, we have Blade Runner 2049, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Mudbound, and The Shape of Water.
I think it's going to go to Dunkirk, I hope it doesn't go to Darkest Hour, but it might. No, I think it might go to Blade Runner 2049.
That's
It
my
might be a
favourite.
Want
Roger
it to go
Deakins
to Blade
type.
Runner.
Sorry, that's what I mean. But I would be
I'd be happy
okay with
with
it
either,
going to
yeah.
Dunkirk.
My only issue with Dunkirk is that the one of my two criticisms of that film, the biggest one, was the changing of aspect ratio, and how Christopher Nolan loves IMAX, and he will intercut between IMAX and 75mm. But the issue with Dunkirk for me was it was cutting mid-scene, whereas usually he would have a sequence in IMAX and then cut back to 75mm.
Right.
But I found it so jarring when you've got Kenneth Branagh standing on the docks in 75mm,
That exact
and then looking out to the sea, IMAX, cutting back to 75. It's just like, what are
Right.
you go to such lengths to create this immersive experience, and your aspect ratio is jumping around. So for me, and Blade Runner for me was just a complete incredible work of art. So that's my pick. About Dunkirk.
Yeah, I think because Blade Runner isn't nominated for any of the other major categories, and it's mainly a look and feel film, I think I agree they will give it. It's Roger Deakins as well, isn't it? So I mean, body of work, blah blah blah, Blade Runner, blah blah. I think they'll give it to Blade Runner because Dunkirk, I think, and we'll talk about it when we get to sound, but I think is going to triumph there and doesn't need it for cinematography.
So going back to what you said about the aspect ratios, Jeremy, I do agree with that. It was really distracting, especially in that scene when you're standing on the docks. But I don't know, if you've seen like the later Michael Bay Transformers movies, he does that all the time, and it's much more distracting. I guess because he has more rapid cuts.
And he has no story, so you're just bored sitting there looking at all of the technical things.
And so for me, it didn't bother me as much as it did in Michael Bay stuff, where it's just done without rhyme or reason. Oh, big, small, and your eyes kind of get fuzzy.
And there are so many beautiful shots in that film. Just the frothing sea and the shots when they're in the boat and there's the bullet holes coming through and all of the incredible plane work going around it is incredible to look at.
The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'd put it towards Dunkirk. I love the setup of that film and the place, the feeling of place. Should we move on to
all of the footage of the Spitfires from the cockpit. Holy moly!
Yeah,
beautiful stuff.
So what are we doing? I'm Blade Runner. Who's
Blade Runner.
I
the
want to go to
cinematography.
Blade Runner.
I'm sure it will.
What are you Dunkirk?
I'm going to go Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. Okay, so we're sort of 50-50 there. All right, directing. So we have Dunkirk, who was directed by Christopher Nolan. Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, directed by Greta Gerwig. Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. And The Shape of Water, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Here's how I think this is going to go. So first of all, I think Lady Bird was a perfectly nice film, and I think Greta Gerwig has a high degree of talent, but I don't think that it is an Oscar film, and I don't think she is yet an Oscar director, so I think that they've nominated her because we need a chick, and I think she will get palmed off, possibly, not in a bad way, with the original screenplay Oscar instead, because she wrote Lady Bird as well. Now, the only tricky thing about my saying this is I feel that Jordan Peele is probably going to go the same way, and they can't both win original screenplay. But I think it's a nod to, thank you very much, you made a terrific movie. You're not going to win Best Picture with it. It's very clever. I don't think he's going to win Best Director. If he did, it would be amazing. But I don't think that he is. I don't think Paul Thomas Anderson's going to win for
Phantom
Thread. I don't think Del Toro is going to win Shape of Water.
I think he will. I think he will. I think the direction, if anything, for The Shape of Water, for all of its faults and issues I had with it, was with the script. The direction, the pacing, all of that for me, that film is really well put together, and it's the way that all those pieces work is incredibly impressive. And from my understanding, he's winning a lot of awards for direction anyway. So as much as I think Nolan deserves it as much as anybody on that list, I think Del Toro will get it.
Oh, it was a pretty compelling argument.
I think Nolan will win it, and Nolan has not won an Oscar, and my goodness, he's been working incredibly hard and doing amazing films. Inception, Memento, and so on. So I think Nolan's totally going to get it. And I think if he doesn't, I'll be really annoyed. Yeah.
I think it's between the two of them. I mean, I enjoyed Dunkirk more than The Shape of Water, but that was because the script was better in Dunkirk, in my opinion.
I wonder if Shape of Water does get some kind of brownie points in the whole race for Best Picture, etc., for the gender politics. I'm kind of wondering now, we're starting to look at this and there's not major offerings to the female politics so far in what we've seen. Things like talking about Lady Bird, that not getting the directing or anything like that. I think they're going to need to make some major, I hate to say it like this, concessions.
Yeah, considering the backlash they've had in the last while. I mean, they've got Get Up.
If they don't, God, there's going to be a sea of black on the red carpet, and there'd have to be some pretty major...
But in terms of analysing the work, right, or even thinking about directing as being a sort of almost a lifetime achievement award, Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig, they haven't earned it yet. I think they've made and this is how I tend to think of it, I think, with directing. They haven't got a body of work yet that justifies it. Paul Thomas Anderson most definitely does, but it's just not a flashy enough film and year for him. Del Toro,
not popular enough, probably.
Yeah, and Del Toro's worked blimmin' hard, hasn't he, and been doing quite spectacular things. So it would be a justified win. But I do think Christopher Nolan is. This is his time. This is his acknowledgement.
But I hear you, Sarah, but I do hear what Max is saying. I think that the Oscars is, as much as we'd love it to be the sort of paragon of artistic integrity in terms of cinema, it's as much a marketing and political sort of beast than anything. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of finally comes out, because if we look through what we've chosen so far, it's been all very white. Coco with our South American flavour, but then we've got Blade Runner, Dunkirk. It's
at least it's British. It's English and not American. That counts, because when you look at the directors, we've got a white Brit, an African American, a female white American, a white American, Paul Thomas Anderson, and then Del Toro. Effectively a man of colour, but certainly, and a Mexican, you're right. So
I'm going with my vote is Shape of Water.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think the Academy will go that way?
My gut feeling is Shape of Water.
All right,
seems
okay.
like everyone, or at least with the awards leaning up, everyone is leaning that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So are we splitting? What do you reckon, Max?
Oh, that is tough. That is an interesting debate. I would go Shape of Water, I think.
I wouldn't. I'm sticking with Nolan.
Dunkirk has a lot going for it in terms of the fact that he's kind of been doing these showy films.
Yeah.
And now he's like, you know what? Okay, here's my serious go. And then, boom, he actually does it, and everybody goes, holy crap, like he can pull off this really serious stuff as well, But I think the politics, I kind of hope the politics will stand in there.
Well, really, let's be honest. If the Oscars has any social power, it's through making a statement. As much as I love it to be a fair, a fair judging of actual work. I mean, we live in a world which is very inequitable, so I think that's where it's important. And I love that Moonlight won last year, even though it was kind of the glory was snatched away from it.
Even almost didn't.
Oh my God. Well, we're almost at the end of our time, so we're not actually going to get to some of the technical awards that we were hoping to get to, but we will leave a little list of what we think is going to win underneath this podcast. So have a little nosy. But let's have a quick discussion about screenplay, adapted screenplay and original screenplay. Well, let's start with adapted screenplay. What do we think?
It's a tricky one. It really is. I think we're all talking about Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the film, but from my understanding, it's a wonderfully...
It's a spectacular film, worthy of having been nominated for acting and Best Picture, probably won't win, and therefore...
I hope The Disaster Artist doesn't win this, because I love the book. I think it's a fantastic non-fiction book. The movie doesn't do it justice, in my opinion. It just feels like a bunch of guys got together and made a movie about a movie they really liked.
Yeah, and I think James Franco has lost some kudos in the industry, so I'd be surprised if he even came to the ceremony.
Yeah. Logan's on there, which is very exciting.
Awesome. And Aaron Sorkin's Molly's Game, it's a fun film, but it's just that. Aaron Sorkin doing Aaron Sorkin. So
it's 2 hours 20 minutes that didn't feel like 2 hours 20 minutes, and really well woven together.
So I believe the four of us are going to vote for Call Me By Your Name, and that can be the only award that lovely, gorgeous, beautiful film gets.
An original screenplay. Now, this is a bit harder.
I think original screenplay is fascinating because, as I mentioned earlier, historically it's where you go when you don't win the bigger awards, but that the Academy is still saying, hey, but good work because you wrote something really cool. And for me, 3 of these 5, I didn't count The Big Sick as being particularly magnificent, but it's justifiably on there. But certainly Get Out, Jordan Peele, brilliant innovative film, well done. Lady Bird, fairly brilliant, still fantastically written, and of course Martin McDonagh's only acknowledgement for the fact that he wrote 3 Billboards. I think it could go to any of them.
I think it's really cool that screenplay is so diverse this year. We have Kamal Nanjiani for Big Sick, and Jordan Peele Get Out, like it more so than any other category.
That's
There's
true.
a real mix of people.
And did Del Toro write Shape of Water?
He did.
So that's fascinating in terms. In fact, there's no white American. Well, there's a white girl American who wrote Lady Bird, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I want Get Out to win. I think 3 Billboards will win, but Get Out for me is the choice.
Me
I think
too.
there's a lot going on in that movie that was very clever.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So should we go Get Out, but probably 3 Billboards?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think Get Out or probably Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Because she's
I
going to
mean,
have to
I'm
get
getting on your
something.
track with that, yeah.
And she's not going to win Best Director. Well, if she does, I almost think that #MeToo and all that has done her a disservice. Because I think you should win because you deserve to win, not because the whole world is going, oh my gosh, we need to give it to a woman. Do you know what I mean? I say that as a woman.
Nice. Okay, so we're sort of splitting it over 3 films. That's not confusing at all. Well, Max, we've come to the end of our podcast. Your final one for the foreseeable future. You're, of course, always welcome to come back and join us. Do you want to say a few words?
Sure.
What are you doing? Where are you going? What's
Well, I'm
happening?
heading off to Japan and then and around East Asia, following William, who's recently been there, and then going to Europe. So I hope to send back lots of great film reviews or film suggestions from the European continent. Hopefully I'll be watching lots of German and French and that kind of stuff as I try to generally push away from the mainstream. Apart from that, can't wait to see you guys in the future. Keep listening to the podcast and keep producing great stuff.
And we shall leave an empty chair at every podcast that we record, Max. And we shall nod to you for a tacit agreement in our decisions and our thoughts.
Yeah, I'll be listening for the silence as you go around. I'm Sarah Watt. I'm William Chen. I'm Jeremy Downing.
And that's right.
Nice. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Cinema in Context. If you enjoyed our podcast, then please share it with your film-loving friends. You can listen to Cinema in Context through SoundCloud or through Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook or subscribe to us on Twitter or YouTube, which are also great places to let us know what you think of this episode or give us suggestions for future films to discuss and compare. Look out for our next episode in a month's time, and until then, ka kite anō.